Before I get started with the story, let me give a shout out to Will HL. I hope I didn't pronounce your name incorrectly. Willis HL, I'm sorry, on Twitter for sending me this story. So if you don't know what you're looking at, this is the picture of a private jet that has landed at an airport. You see some cars, but on that top right corner, you see someone getting off of the plane with a mask on, and it's a side picture, so you may not know who that is. That is none other than Harvey Weinstein. Yes, he is traveling by private jet. No, he is not out of jail, because that was my first thought. I'm like, how is he, I thought he was locked up. But he's still very much serving his sentence. But he was allowed to travel by private jet from New York to California. Reason being, because he still has those charges in California. They just didn't come out of New York. He still has them charges that happen in California that if he's convicted of those, that's more years he's going to have tacked on. But it's the fact that this guy's able to travel in style, and he has regular clothes on. You looking at this, you would think that this guy wasn't even locked up, but he's most likely in a club fed style prison anyway. Now, what's interesting is that when Bill Cosby, got out, when the conviction was overturned, everybody made a big deal about that, but no one's making a big deal about this. Granted, Harvey Weinstein, as far as we know, was still locked up, but look at how he's traveling. You would think that he's free as a bird. And no one's going to talk about it. And look at this. They said convicted rapist. That's the title. Even as a convicted rapist, Harvey Weinstein is still flying private. And I'm not surprised that he is, because of who he is, or who he was at this point. Is no longer it was. Weinstein Company is no longer in existence. And if it is under a different name and owned by somebody else. But they had all the smoke for Bill Cosby. I'm trying to figure out where all these people that claim that they're against rape culture is at. And this one says he was convicted of rape. Like those were actually one of his charges, or a couple of his charges. Unlike Bill with Bill Cosby, rape wasn't even one of the charges he was found quote unquote guilty of at the time. But everyone kept saying, well, Harvey Weinstein is not as big as Bill Cosby. Are you sure about that? Just because Harvey Weinstein was more behind the scene doesn't mean that he wasn't bigger than Bill Cosby. His bank account sure was bigger than Bill Cosby. This guy had a lot of influence dating back several years. They made it seem like Harvey Weinstein came out in the last decade. No, he's been out for the last 2-3 decades. Now, you want to talk about who probably had a longer career? Probably most likely Bill Cosby. I'll give him that. But that doesn't mean that Harvey Weinstein didn't have a shred of influence either. So I'm going to go ahead and get into this article. Even as a convicted rapist, former movie mogul Harvey Weinstein is still flying private. Weinstein, who was already serving 23 years behind bars in New York for rape and sexual assault, was extradited Tuesday to California to face further sexual assault charges there. Sources told Page 6 that he was flown out to the West Coast on a private jet because of his health conditions. Bill Cosby had health conditions, but they didn't care about that. They actually mocked and laughed at it. Photos showed Weinstein, age 69, disembarking a private jet in Burbank, California. An attorney confirmed to Page 6 that Weinstein did indeed fly private. Retired Supreme Court Judge Barry Kamens of Adela, Bertuna, and Kamens, the firm overseeing Weinstein's appeal in New York, told us that the jet was arranged with Weinstein's lawyers upstate due to Weinstein's health issues. Many times when people are extradited, they're brought by bus. It's not done by plane, he said, but he added that a jet was the easiest way to get him out there. The once high-flying movie producer has a laundry list of health issues his lawyers have previously said, which include diabetes, coronary artery disease, high blood pressure, spinal stenosis, sleep apnea, leg pain, arthritis, anemia, and others. What was he sleeping in, a bubble? He was seen getting off the plane with a walker. Weinstein, I remember when he first bought that walker and people was like, myself included, was like, is this man playing? Is he for real? Weinstein is also working with a prison consultant, we're told, to try and get him into a better medical prison facility than a local LA County jail. Though prosecutors have contended that the jail where Weinstein will be held has adequate medical care. Weinstein pled not guilty to a slew of sex crime charges on Wednesday. He was rolled into the LA court in a wheelchair and arraigned on an indictment of 11 sexual assault counts, including 4 counts of rape. He'd previously been serving time at the Wind, I'm guessing that's the Wind Correctional Facility in upstate New York. The LA charges could get Weinstein another 140 years to life if he is convicted. Prosecutors in LA now have 120 days to bring Weinstein's case to trial, and Kamen said that his New York appeal could likely play out in September before the LA case comes to trial. His lawyers on Wednesday also filed a motion to dismiss 3 of the 11 counts against him, arguing that the statute of limitations had expired. These charges are allegations that were made years and years ago, his attorney said outside the courtroom. You want to know what's so crazy? Let me read this last line. His next hearing in LA is scheduled for July 29th. You want to know what's so interesting? There were statutes of limitations for Bill Cosby and also in the same state of California, but they completely bypassed that and literally took them off the books just so they can get a conviction out of him. So see, they're doing one thing with one that they aren't doing with the other, but we're not surprised or shocked by that. See, here's the thing. They see that the convictions got overturned for Bill Cosby, and they're trying to do the same thing for Harvey Weinstein. Notice that we really haven't heard anything about Harvey Weinstein lately until now that Bill Cosby's convictions got overturned. But see, here's the thing. That was a circus trial from the get-go. It was a trial that should have never happened. Harvey Weinstein, on the other hand, they have mountains of evidence against this man. So they can't even try to compare the two. Bill Cosby's, his was based mainly solely on hearsay. They actually have evidence on Harvey Weinstein. And a lot of it. The fact that he could face 140 years, I don't know why they said 140 years to life. Isn't that life? I mean, just say that. But I'm not surprised that he flew by private jet. I knew they wasn't gonna make him take no bus. I'm not surprised by any of this. Really, I'm not. I'm almost inclined to want to ask, how did this even become a story? Okay, so he flew by a private jet. I didn't expect him to travel anywhere else, especially if he had to come from New York to California. If he was to literally travel by bus, it would take days to get there. Let's see, days or 6 hours, and travel through a couple of time zones. But we shall see what the outcome is. And to be honest, I didn't even know that he was even serving time, to be quite honest, until they mentioned in this article. But I can guarantee that he's living a lot better than Bill Cosby was when he was locked up. I can guarantee that. He's probably living in that kind of facility that, what's her name? Martha Stewart was staying in, for what the crime that she committed. That's probably where he's at. And probably in a very cushy location because of who he is. So, it is what it is. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments.